Hi Debs, how are you?
I'm really well, thank you, Nizam.
Yeah, and friends, I'm very glad to interview you. Friends, here is our what do I say is medium, and it's kind of I don't have words. I'm feeling very happy to interview Debs and friends. I will introduce more about Debs now, and let us know a little more before we talk and know her experiences through her directly. So Debs is an international medium from England, Northamptonshire, and is a member and award holder of the Spiritualist National Union. Debs is a well known and respected medium who is exceptionally knowledgeable and passionate about her work. Not only has she demonstrated this gift to thousands of people, Debs also teaches the mechanics of mediumship, which is going to make our conversation even more interesting. So, Debs, here comes my
Gosh,
first question. What
thank you
is
very much.
mediumship?
Thank you very much for that excellent introduction, Nizam.
I do
Thank
not
you.
know that. I have interviewed various experts from different fields. I was this kind of this is a very favorite subject. I am little excited as well as little nervous also to know more and what's gonna unfold further. That's the reason when I started speaking, there was this all that stuff. I'm also settling down. And first of all, thank you very much for accepting the moment I requested you for this interview, and thank you for this time. And yeah, seems like I'm also settling down and getting comfortable. So here is my first question. Debs, what is mediumship? You might have heard this question from various people, especially for the audience from India. We would love to know what is this mediumship, Debs?
Okay, so to mediumship, there's actually many aspects.
Mhm.
So we have spiritual healing, for example. It's where the medium acts almost as a vessel, a conduit, through which healing energy from experts in the spirit world can pass. And all mediumship involves some form of healing, or it should. Mediumship, so if we look to evidential mediumship, for example, someone giving a reading or working on a platform, the aim of the medium is to provide proof and evidence that in fact we are eternal. So in that aspect, that's what the medium aims to achieve or should achieve. Then we have trance speaking, which is where a spirit personality, a spirit person speaks directly through the medium. So the medium then takes a very passive role, and the spirit personality speaks through the medium, in which case, when this happens, the information that's coming through the medium should be of a higher level of intelligence than that of the medium. Perhaps vocabulary is used that the medium wouldn't use. So you can definitely see a different personality coming through there. And people should be able to feel that power when that's taking place. And then we have physical mediumship, where ectoplasm is taken from the medium's body. So I think people, when you think of seances, from hundreds of years ago, tables levitating, or a spirit person manifesting in the room, or a spirit voice being heard in the room, and so on. So mediumship actually has many, many aspects to it. But fundamentally, we are dealing with people in the spirit world that are very much alive, that work together alongside the medium.
Okay, and except watching in movies, this is the first time I'm also talking to one directly. So let me continue. Thank you for that. So, Debs, can anyone get into mediumship?
Can I just go back to the movie bit, if I may just speak
please,
about that?
Please.
So when we look to movies and how mediumship or the spirit world is portrayed in movies, it's very, very unrealistic. And what that actually does is it puts, I believe, it's just my truth, it puts fear in the mind of many people, because people want to watch something that's scary. That's the whole point of these horror movies. But in reality, it's really not like that, you know. It's often portrayed as being something dark or demonic. And spiritualism and mediumship is all about love and healing, and people fear what they don't understand. So I just wanted to touch on that as you mentioned that.
Yes. Like in the movies, the moment before the reading, just before the reading, the power is fluctuating, and then all that power outages and the music and it rains. It doesn't happen like that.
No, and in reality, it's something that should be very uplifting.
Yes.
So quite the opposite.
And I'm curious to know about your childhood. Could you please tell me more about your childhood experiences?
Yeah, so it's my belief, actually. I can only ever speak from my own experiences and from my own truth, you know, but it's my belief that all children see spirit. It's just that as they get older, they perhaps don't remember it anymore, or the mind becomes closed off to it. So if you think of that baby gurgling away and laughing away at somebody that we can't see, I do believe perhaps they're seeing a grandmother or somebody, you know. So all children, I believe, do see spirit. But when I look to my childhood, I remember one incident very, very clearly, actually. My brother and I went away for this weekend in this, it was for children with loads of activities and fun stuff. And so we stayed in this massive manor house. And it had been a busy day and it was time to go to bed. And I was sharing a room with one other girl. And then all of a sudden the bedroom door opened and this girl came in. She said, come on, we're going to play. So I then got up and I went out and played with this girl, and there were massive long corridors, and me and all these other children that I haven't seen, by the way, the whole of this weekend, were all running around and laughing. So we weren't talking, we were laughing. And we went to another floor of the building. And then slowly what I thought was odd is one by one, the children started disappearing. So in the end, it was just me and this boy. And this member of staff come up to me. And I remember thinking at the time it was so unfair because she only told me off and she didn't tell the boy off. She said, what are you doing out of bed? It's really, really late. Get back to your room. And I remember just thinking, well, why isn't she telling him off? So we started walking back to the room. And then when I turned around, he'd vanished. He'd just gone. And I went back to my bed and I slept. And it's only now, as an adult and a seasoned medium, that I fully realised what had happened. I was actually in a trance state. And I was playing with all these spirit children that brought me upliftment and laughter. And of course, what I think is funny about it is if there'd been CCTV, you know, if people had been able to see it, they would have perhaps only seen me running up and down laughing hysterically.
Yes.
And they wouldn't have seen the other children. But that was sort of one of many, many memories that sort of stayed with me, you know.
Amazing. Yeah. And now comes the main question. How did you get into mediumship?
I believe it's something, everybody's journey into what we do is different. You know, some people come into spiritualism through grief. Someone might have died and they end up stumbling into a spiritualist church. So here in Britain, and indeed in America and Canada, Australia, there are many, many spiritualist churches. We are a recognised religion and we have appointed ministers. So someone who's grieving might just think, you know what, I'll go in and see what it's all about. People that typically then work in this field with spirit, they'll have incidences throughout the whole of their lives, typically, and it's really a calling or a vocation. For me, I reached a sort of point in my 20s, I'm now 40, excuse me, where I just wanted to learn pretty much how to control it and switch it off, to be honest with you, because, you know, I was aware of spirit talking to me at all random times. So I joined like a development group. And what I discovered there was actually that I very much enjoyed it. You know, it was like a light bulb moment for me. And it was very much a feeling of coming home. And you'll hear a lot of spiritualists say that when you start developing this ability, it is a feeling of coming home. And that's how it felt for me. It's a vocation and a pulling. And then it just built from there.
Excellent. Awesome. Awesome. And usually, like, people go to astrologers, numerologists, tarot card readers. What sort of questions can one ask to a medium, Debs?
Okay, so a mediumship is not to be confused with the occult. So it doesn't have anything to do with tarot readings. I myself learned to read tarot, but when we look to mediumship, mediumship is not a psychic faculty. So psychic means the energy here, excuse me. It means, so if I was to read you psychically, which I'm obviously not going to do now, it means me looking into your aura, it's our energy here connecting, okay? So that would be tarot readings. Mediumship is working with the spirit world, working with a personality, people in spirit. Therein is the difference. So I've forgotten the question you just asked.
So just what sort of questions can one ask a medium?
So typically when a medium's working, whether it's on a public stage or platform, or whether it's in a one-to-one, as mediums, we typically don't prefer not to be asked too many questions. I know when I'm working, I prefer to know nothing about the individual before I work. I prefer to just see what comes in, because we must remember the spirit world is a world of intelligence. So if I'm working with somebody's brother, sister, grandmother, best friend, they already know what the need is for the individual here. So they should already, to my mind, be answering those questions anyway. People go to a reading because they're looking for proof that we live on. That's the medium's job. Our job is to provide proof. So, for example, if a grandmother liked to bake, I'm not sure that's necessarily solid proof, because whose grandmother didn't like to bake? But if I know the grandmother had her ring finger missing, yet she always wore bright red nail varnish, then I'm describing that woman's grandmother. So they're coming to look for proof. They're coming to look to see that their loved one's okay. I remember a reading years ago, and it's typically I'll forget the reading I did, but the reading I had with this particular young woman, she was desperately depressed. So her mum had very, very sadly committed suicide when she was a young child. And she couldn't deal with the fact that she believed her mum was burning in the pits of hell, for example. And she came to this reading, and her mum did an excellent job in spirit of providing not only evidence that she lives on, that she's okay, but also that she's very much involved in her life. So that's what mediumship does. It shows that our loved ones are still close. They know that you bought that new house, with the purple wall. They know you went to the graveside and plucked daisies and just put them there. So it's demonstrating that they're part of our lives. And this reading stayed with me because for this particular woman, it was incredibly healing. It was almost life-changing for her to know my mum is okay. So I suppose when somebody comes, they'll always have a different need, but going to a medium, I would always say, please do be skeptical, because the medium should be providing evidence, solid evidence and facts that they are indeed communicating and working with their loved one or friend, but also to be open-minded. To also be open-minded is finding that balance. But people come for different reasons and different needs. Essentially, a question that I find I've been asked often is, what's the spirit world like? Okay. Now, there has literally been thousands of books, written on this subject. And I do not believe any one of us is going to have the definitive answer on this until we get to the spirit world.
Yes.
We can see glimpses of it, but I don't believe any one person can have the definitive answer. There are just so many different theories regarding that.
Yes, got it.
We'll all find out in the end anyway.
And what are the benefits of having sessions with mediums?
So again, it depends what the individual is looking for. So again, if I may reiterate, mediumship aims to, if I'm looking at evidential settings now, mediumship aims to provide proof that the loved one lives on, that they are okay. sometimes in a reading, you will have somebody come forward where it's their need to express themselves. So they might come forward and apologize for things they did or didn't do here. That can be incredibly healing. You know, I'm sorry I did X, Y, and Z, or I'm sorry I didn't do that. You can imagine the power of that once that evidence has been given and that message comes through. For some people, they're looking for clarity and guidance in their life. And whilst when we're working with mediumship, we don't predict, they will often help guide the individual, motivate the individual, just express that they're still with them. As I said, you know, still very much with them. I was with you in the kitchen when the radio broke, you know, I'm still involved in your life. There are so many aspects. So then when we look to spiritual healing, we always say, you know, please do continue working with your doctors. Please do continue working with the experts. What we can offer is a complementary treatment alongside medical professionals. To my mind, healing is the highest form. You know, it's just the highest form of what we do, I want to say. Physical mediumship, because physical mediumship is something that people are hearing with their own ears and seeing with their own eyes, one goes from believing to absolutely knowing, you know, when it's concrete evidence. So mediumship just offers so much to the individual, depending what they're looking for. It's to my mind, it's always about filling the need. What is the need of the individual? But then the spirit world knows that. They're intelligent. They know what's needed.
And very interesting. I think this is one of my favorite questions.
Okay.
Do past lives exist?
Okay, so within the movement of spiritualism, this is actually, even amongst mediums, a very hot topic. It's debated a lot, I want to say. I sit on the fence with this, if I'm completely honest, okay, because mediumship is all about providing evidence and proof. I'm naturally actually a very skeptical person. So even when I go for a reading, I want that person to provide evidence and proof for me, you see. Wow. The issue we have when we look to reincarnation is it's very difficult. Can it be proved? Can it be proven? Because is it the mind playing tricks? Is it a flashback of a memory? Is it something we've seen in a film? Logic suggests to me, why can't we come back and live more lives and have another go? Because life here is all about evolution. It's about the soul growing, the soul expressing itself, about us continually learning new lessons. So why couldn't we come back and have another go? But I'm very much, if reincarnation exists, prove it to me. I'm on the fence, you know, I can see both sides of the argument.
Okay. Right. So as the extension of this question, do other dimensions exist?
When I think of other dimensions, what comes to my mind is, so if I look at the spirit world, I do believe within the spirit world, there are different realms. That's what I believe. So we could look at highly evolved souls, which one might call angels, you know, or angelic beings. I call them highly evolved souls. There are different realms to my mind. We could then call those realms perhaps dimensions, but the word realm sits personally better with me. Each their own. It depends on your cup of tea, doesn't it, really? Can we communicate with them? So if I use the analogy of highly evolved souls, the way mediumship works is, here on Earth, the vibration of the Earth is very dense and slow. In the spirit world, the vibration of the spirit world is so much faster and quicker. So when a medium is working, what they're doing is the medium is raising and quickening their vibration, and the spirit world will slow theirs down, and we meet in the middle somewhere. So then if you take a highly evolved being, their frequency and vibration is going to be so much quicker. So there are cases known within spiritualism. For example, there was a very famous medium called Maurice Barbanel, and many books have been written by a spirit guide called Silverbirch. That's the name this spirit guide, this spirit personality gave himself. Because the person who was through this trance speaking was so highly evolved, they almost needed a spirit body of someone in between because of the difference in the frequency. I hope this is making sense. But they used a spirit body then to almost bridge that gap. So yes, I do believe they can communicate to us, but if they're very, very highly evolved, to get those frequencies, I imagine that's very, very difficult.
Okay. So thank you. Now it's really getting interesting. Now I'm getting to know more about mediumship. And now my question is like, what's the difference between working on a platform in public and doing a private reading, Debs?
Sure. So if somebody's working on a platform or a stage, so to speak, firstly, not everybody in that space is going to get a message. Yes. So we do hope that even people listening to other people's messages and evidence, that they can walk away still feeling uplifted, having a look at what took place and going, absolutely, I'm convinced in my mind that medium couldn't have possibly known these things, the information that was coming through, that they are still somehow touched by the power of mediumship that atmosphere can create, that they still walk away feeling uplifted, they've received a bit of healing as well. The fundamental difference for me, however, is I know that when I'm working on a platform, it's about integrity, it's about dignity. So if I'm giving out a very sensitive piece of information, I'm not going to embarrass that person in a public space, yes. You know? So I'm going to, if it's very sensitive information, I'm going to give it out in a way that the individual understands. But not everybody sort of, knows exactly. And please, it will be that one piece of information, not the whole message, because you want everybody to understand what's taking place. So for me, it's about not embarrassing the individual. And I believe when we're working on a platform, we're not going perhaps into so much depth. So typically we'll spend 7-10 minutes working with an individual, then we move on. When we look to one-to-ones, which I absolutely love doing as well, we can really get down to the nitty-gritty, because yes. It's a very private space, yes. And we can expand on the information so much more, simply because we have more time as well. Yes. And that's sort of the fundamental difference, Okay.
And Debs, is it mandatory that one needs to be in your presence, or even the online sessions which are private? I'm not talking about the public readings, private readings, but does one needs to be in the aura of the medium, or even online sessions are equally beneficial?
Sure, this is actually a massive misconception, and it's an excellent question because it's one so many people ask. No, the person does not physically have to be in your presence. I live in England, I've given readings literally all over the world, New York, Australia. It absolutely makes no odds, because if we think of the people in spirit, for example, they don't have to necessarily be right there in the room. And then when people don't sort of, what I mean by that is they can be conveying the information, but I don't have to be 2 meters apart, 3 meters apart. And my argument to this is always, well, when I'm given a reading, how does it work on platform? There's still that distance between us, yet it's taking place. And we must remember in the spirit world, so if we look to sort of quantum physics, time and space doesn't exist, and I also said to people, then why is it I don't have to hold your hand? So it's all that's happening is we have a greater distance. And what a lot of people have also realized within the spiritualist movement, which is wonderful, a lot of churches are cottoning onto this, a lot of spiritualist centers have got on board with giving Zoom meetings, Zoom services, which are absolutely free of charge. And they've been very, very successful across the movement, so you really do not have to physically be in the room with somebody.
Nice. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And can mediumship be taught, Debs?
I view mediumship, people will often refer to it as a gift. It is a gift, but if someone's very good at football, that's also a gift. If someone's exceptionally good at painting, that's also a gift. Personally, I prefer to call it an ability, because an ability can be built on. So a medium is born, a medium is not made. So that natural ability has to be there. I believe that you could teach someone to have a link, have a contact, but to what extent that can be built on varies with every individual. So again, not everybody's going to be a Pablo Picasso, but they can, you know, do a little something on the paper. Yes. And therein is the difference. So to my mind, I'm then looking at a natural medium and someone who's slightly mediumistic. Because we are all spirit, you see. We're already spirit. We're encased in a human body, but we are spirit here and now. We do not become spirit when we die. We already are spirit. So I do believe that it can be, you can teach someone to make that contact, but to what extent that ability is going to grow varies a lot.
Okay. And Debs, you are also a physical medium. So what is physical mediumship exactly is all about?
Yeah, sure. So when we look to physical mediumship, what we're looking at is somebody who is not very mediumistic, okay, someone who's not got a mediumistic bone in their body, is seeing and hearing and observing what's taking place in the room with their own 5 physical senses. Okay. So it's not, for example, I'm a transfiguration medium. So what that means is ectoplasm gets taken, it forms a mask over my face, and that mask is then manipulated. So I can look like a man with a beard, or, you know, my face might become very slender. So they almost manipulate it like Play-Doh. But it should be, what's taking place should be visible to everybody in the room. It shouldn't be, I kind of think I saw something. It should be people that, you know, have never had anything to do with this before, who are not mediumistic, that can recognize clearly something has taken place. If we look to famous mediums of the past, for example, where you've had spirit people walk out of a cabinet, a dark cabinet, where ectoplasm has actually turned into a full-bodied person, that if then walked out and everybody saw them, everybody heard them. And within physical mediumship, in the past, there was a lot of trickery involved. So within physical mediumship, when we look to seances, we ensure that every sitter is allowed to check the room, all the sitters are checked. So there's very strict protocol in place so that people that are there generally recognize it is genuine phenomena that's taking place. For people who have witnessed it, again, it can literally be life-changing, because we go from believing to knowing, you know, seeing is believing. And that essentially is physical mediumship. And with physical mediumship, what's then happening is that it just happens to be the case that the physical medium's body, the constitution of the medium, is simply able to produce enough ectoplasm, and that's what that's about.
Thank you. Debs, I have a very commonly asked question. How do we know if the mediumship reading is genuine? How can one trust if the reading is genuine, and what are some of the parameters one can know it that yes, we can trust the medium?
Sure. Again, I think that's just such an excellent question. I really do. So we go back to proof. Please remember, I'm making this up now. I'm not reading you. I'm simply making this up. So, for example, the job as a medium is to give unequivocal proof. So, for example, I could say, you know, please remember, I'm making this up. I've got your dad here. I know that your dad passed very quickly of stomach cancer. I know that your dad had cataracts in his left eye. I know that your dad worked as a mechanic for many, many years. And when he got the cataracts and he had to stop working. He then had an operation on the eye and he was able to work again. It's about facts. So if somebody is being very vague in the reading or asking a lot of questions, for example, you know, and I'm assuming sort of your dad reached a good age, is that right? And if it's all a bit wishy-washy, then that's a cold reading, or they're trying to get the information from the sitter. So mediums will typically say, please don't give me any information, please just tell me if it's correct, or you're not sure, or you don't know. So it's the medium's job to provide the evidence.
Okay.
It's about the evidence. But I would also say, anybody that's going for a reading, please go with an open mind. And it is looking for, is this person genuine? You know, facts and information should be coming through that can't be Googled, you know, that are not on Facebook. It should be personal things. Those I call them gems, like little gemstones. There's little pieces of information where people then go, crikey, they couldn't have possibly have known that, you know. It's also about a feeling. So when the reading has the right condition and everything's going really, really well, the sitter should also be able to feel that energy with them. They should be able to feel their loved one with them. They can almost feel the power of it. So I would say to people, trust your intuition, as well as being able to open your mind up to it, but trust your intuition as well.
Excellent. So mediums are our Google to search what's happening for the spirit world.
Yeah, I can, you know, I can assure you, no one hates fakes more than genuine mediums. Yes. You know. So yeah, the medium should aim to bring things through that are perhaps not generic. That, you know, where the sitter walks away and says, crikey, they couldn't have known that, to my mind, but I can only ever speak from my truth.
Yes. And you are associated part of this Spiritualist Nationalist Union. Debs, what is it all about? Could you please tell me more about it?
Yeah, so the Spiritualist National Union is a religious charity. It's a religious organisation. As spiritualists, we are a recognised religion. We have appointed ministers and officiants. And what the Spiritualist National Union is about is, like I said, it's a charity. So it's all about supporting the spiritualist churches. It's about teaching mediums so that ability can grow in all aspects, you know, healing and various other fields, in evidential mediumship, being able to bring those facts forward. And we are a group of people, like-minded people, who are rallying for the same cause, which is simply just to help people, to promote the religion in a way where we just want to uplift, and it's sort of, you know, serving humanity, if you will. Within our religion, you know, there's no dogma, there's no creed. So people are invited to explore the truths for themselves, to explore the religion for themselves, and we do keep coming back to truths and re-examining them. And within the Spiritualist National Union, we sort of have 7 principles, and they're the principles we live by, or what we believe in. So, for example, we very much believe in personal responsibility. You know, that we are responsible for our own thoughts, our own actions, our own deeds. You know, how I am with somebody, that is my responsibility. We believe that it goes without saying that you know, there is life after death, and it's not just believing it, we aim to prove it. And we believe that we continually evolve. So we're here on life, we have these life lessons, and then we go to the spirit world, and it doesn't stop there. We continually learn, and we know that because for thousands of years, you know, mediums have been around since the beginning of time. You know, healers have been around since the beginning of time. And we know through mediumship that somebody can go to the spirit world who perhaps wasn't a particularly nice person here, and then they'll come through and perhaps apologize in that message, but I am different now. And it proves that we continually evolve. And that's sort of the fundamental beliefs of the Spiritualist National Union. But fundamentally, we are a charitable organisation.
Thank you. Yeah. Debs, this is my last question. I recently read a book called Psychic Perception by Dr. Joseph Murphy. So there he mentions he meets a lady with a couple of his friends, and the medium asks, just what do you want? And then he asks about some object which is elsewhere in some other country, which is disappeared there in that country and appears right in front of them. So I was like, really, is it is it possible? So could you please tell, is it just written in the books, or does such events really happen?
Okay, so Nizam, what we're talking about here again is physical mediumship. That would fall under the banner of physical mediumship. So what is then happening is, as the object is being moved, that's called an asport. So it's being dematerialized. It's being dematerialized in the spirit world by spirit people, by experts in the spirit people. And then when it reappears, then it's being materialized. Yes, it is very, very possible. There's an excellent physical medium here in Britain. His name is Stuart Alexander. And I'm only saying this because I know that he has himself publicly spoken about this, and he's written about it in a book. So I'm sure he won't mind me speaking about this. It's a funny story to do with a pink pig. So he has his sitters that he would sit with to do these seances. And this pink pig was, let me correct myself. Everybody in the seance room got a gift from the spirit world, an apport. So during the seance, everybody received a little animal, a little object, but there was one sitter, one lady, she did so much for the circle. She did so much organizing, she did so much work, and she didn't get a gift. She didn't get an apport. And as you can imagine, she was a little bit upset. Why did everybody get a little gift, an item, a little animal, and I didn't? Anyway, the next day, she happened to notice in her living room, I believe, I could be wrong on that, but happened to notice in her house, or it could have been our bedside cabinet, please don't quote me on that. Anyway, this little pink pig. Oh. And she was absolutely over the moon. And then she rang her circle members, that she would sit with for the seance, said, you'll never guess, this pink pig's arrived, right? Then the pink pig vanishes. Okay, so sometime later, she put it in her display cabinet. So anybody that came in the house, she would tell them this story about this wonderful pink pig arriving, and that she got it the next day. And then one day it just vanishes. And she was rather upset, where's it gone? Fast forward a couple of weeks, she had a builder come in the house, and he noticed what we call a trumpet, which is essentially a cone-shaped object, which is also to do with physical mediumship. And he said, oh, I see you're, into physical mediumship. And she said, yes. And he said, the weirdest thing happened to me. This is his workman. He said, out of the blue, in my house, this pink pig arrived.
Oh, my God. Okay.
So isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? So they brought it to her the next day. Then it was removed from her home, put into the home of this workman, where the spirit world obviously knew in weeks to come he would be fixing something in her house. Spoke about the pink pig, and needless to say, he then returned the pink pig to her. And I believe they affectionately called it the traveling pink pig. So they dematerialize it and rematerialize it. The intelligence of spirit.
Lovely. Thanks a lot, Debs. It was lovely interaction to know more about what this mediumship is, and also you have beautifully clarified what are the misconceptions and how one can get benefited to this readings. And Debs, if anyone is interested to contact you through your for the personal readings, could you please share your email ID, which I would like to put it on my YouTube channel as well?
Yeah, sure. So if anybody's interested in one-to-one, I also mentor one-to-one, and I also offer seminars and workshops, which can be done through the platform of Zoom. So if they wish to contact me, they can contact me through Facebook. So my name on Facebook is Debs Kiely. Kiely is spelled K-I-E-L-Y. That's fine. I will accept the messages, or through my page, which is Debs Kiely Spiritual Medium, or through my email, which is debskiley.medium@hotmail.com.
Okay, thank you. I will also mention this in the YouTube description, friends, so you can reach out to Debs if you are interested for personal readings. Thank you very much, Debs. It was wonderful having you, here, especially for the Indian audience. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been my absolute pleasure. Thank you.